So we have a collection of angels with us right now. All of you all, and all the people in the invisible realms that are hovering over our shoulders and, speaking to us in our dreams. We're just full of angels this morning. I think most of us in the general population, when they think of angels, they think of these great beings of light with huge wings, right? That's the common perception. And my guess is if we saw a being of light hovering in our bedroom or hospital room or outside somewhere, and it didn't have wings, we would recognize that as an angel as well. But obviously, being angels, they can assume any kind of form. I don't know how many of you have heard of Sark. She's an artist who does these very whimsical watercolor drawings and paintings. And she has this one poster, and the title is "Dogs Are Angels with Fur." And I'm sure many of you who have dogs can relate to this, that, they love us so much and they want always to be by our side. And if we're sad, they put their head on us and they comfort us. And if we're in danger, they're the first ones there to protect us. Isn't that everything a guardian angel is, right? So yes, angels can take many forms. Quite a few years ago, I think I came upon this book when my mom was nearing the end of her days. It was called The Third Man Factor. I don't know if any of you have heard about this, but it's a substantial book and it's wonderful because it's filled with story after story after story of people who were in dangerous situations, or they were lost, or they somehow needed help. And there was an invisible companion. They could feel the presence of someone with them. Oftentimes this would happen with explorers when they were on a mountain or in the Arctic or in the ocean or on a boat and they were in a dangerous situation. They could feel this presence guiding them, protecting them, around them. I'm guessing everyone here would assume that that's an angelic presence. Sometimes someone in human form would come to help. And when they turn around to thank the person wouldn't be there. So about 10 or 12 years ago, I had a sacred dream, very beautiful dream, in which there was a big wave out there in the ocean. And in the wave were these huge dolphins jumping. It brought so much joy to just see this scene of dolphins jumping in the water. And then that wave got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it came to shore and it just engulfed me. I was submerged underwater. But immediately I could feel someone clasping my hand very firmly. There was someone clasping my hand, but they were not visible. There was no one there, and I felt so strongly a presence holding my hand. In another dream about 20 years ago, my partner and I were climbing up this stone wall, this brick wall, and we could feel invisible hands underneath us, supporting us in our climb. It was a very kinesthetic dream of feeling this support and this, they were helping us along the way. So I believe that's the angel's job, to help us along the way, to protect us when we're having a hard time. So I have one angel story of the invisible kind. It's a miracle story, so it's very appropriate for this community. I was living for a time in Crestone, Colorado, which is this beautiful, sweet mountain town. Very few people in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in Colorado. I had been living there for a couple of years and it was winter. And I began noticing that my car was struggling and slipping on the hills. And I assumed it was my tires because it was an old car and I hadn't checked my tires. I thought maybe they were bald and I didn't have a chance to buy new ones. I didn't have the money to buy new ones. And I just tried to avoid the hills. which is obviously crazy because it's a mountain town. We were at 9,000 feet elevation, but that's what happened. So one morning I was walking someone's dogs up on the mountain, maybe 9,500 feet and 95,000 rather. And as I was leaving the house and turning right and coming down this mountain road, my brakes totally failed. I had my foot to the floor and there was nothing at all. No brakes. And I'm going down this mountain road and I don't know what to do. I'm running through options in my mind. Option number one, intentionally veer off the road and go into a ditch or up an incline so it can stop me. Because my main fear was at the bottom of this hill was a crossroads. It came to a T. And at the bottom was one of the two most frequently traveled roads in this little tiny town. People would drive on this road to go to the post office or the stores, and I did not want to hit anybody. So my second option was at the bottom of the hill, drive intentionally into the stop sign. And then my third option was turn very, very hard and very, very fast at the bottom, which obviously is not a wise move, but I'm just going through options. And I never thought of putting on the emergency brake. I never thought of downshifting. But I did think to offer a quick prayer, a very quick prayer. So I'm accelerating down the mountain. There's a little S curve, and then I keep going. And my prayer is a standard prayer of protection I've created for when I'm traveling long distances or in dangerous situations. And it went like this. Please bless and protect me in this car and everything and everyone in and around this car. In case you couldn't hear what I said, it's please bless and protect me in this car and everything and everyone in and around this car. And I continued down the hill, gripping the steering wheel, but feeling oddly calm, interestingly. And I found I didn't have the courage to veer off the road or drive into the stop sign. And I chose option number 3. And of course I was going too fast. Of course I couldn't make that turn. So my car, of course, went across both lanes of the road and to the other side of the road where there was a ravine, where there were trees. But here's the miracle. There had been snow and it had mostly all melted, but where the plow had plowed that road, there was a very small snowbank, about 2 feet high, like very small. It was just the remnants of snow, but it was enough to capture my car, spin it around, and hold me in place. And not a single tree was hurt. Nobody was hurt, thank God. No property was damaged. I was perfectly okay. And the only thing that happened to my car was one flat tire. So I'm here to tell the tale, and my assumption is that the angels heard my prayer, that God heard my prayer, and invisible hands guided my car to that bank, and everything was fine. There is another kind of angel, and that is us. We can serve the role of angels in the world. And I'm sure many of us have many stories of people who have helped us over the years, have helped us when we've needed help, when we've been sick or needed a ride or needed a home or needed company because we were lonely or grieving. I have more stories than I can count about human angels who've helped me along the way. One of them, I am going to do my best to keep it brief. I was living in Crestone and began getting these messages that it was time to move. And I loved this little town, but when I heard that message over and over, I thought, okay, where am I supposed to go? Mount Shasta immediately popped into my head. But before I could move, I had to take a detour because my mom's health was going downhill. Her heart rate was in the 30s, and my brother and sister-in-law suggested I come out to be with her, which I was really happy and eager to do. So long story short, I was in Pennsylvania until my mom's passing. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. And afterwards, I lingered for a while. I needed to make some money. I gave a workshop, led a retreat. For whatever reason, wise or unwise, I delayed my departure to Mount Shasta for a while. By the time it was imperative that I go, because I had two sisters who were holding space for me, a location for me to move to, I had gone through a bit of my savings, and I was about to depart for this 4,000-mile journey with only $200 or $300 in my purse. Obviously not enough for a cross-country journey. But Spirit told me to go, and I was listening, and I was trusting Spirit to get me there. Those of you who don't know me very well may not know I'm just blessed with a lot of faith, and I just trust that if I'm being guided to do something, they're going to support me in doing it. So several instances of grace and synchronicity and human angels came forward to help me along the way. The first one was a dear friend who wanted to say goodbye to me. And we met in a parking lot on my way out to the Blue Route. And we said our goodbyes. And she said, "Can you wait for just a few minutes?" And I said, "Okay." And I saw her get in her car and drive to the nearby bank. And she came back and she placed in my hand $300. Such a beautiful angel to do that for me. It just lifted my stress and my fear and my worry, and knew I'd be able to get to my sisters, which was my next main point to get to. Then couple weeks later, I went back to Crestone to get stuff from my storage unit and to visit some friends. And as I was visiting a friend and saying, we had a lovely visit, I said goodbye. We were saying goodbye in the driveway. And unexpectedly, to both him and to myself, I believe, I don't think this was premeditated, he reached into his back pocket, pulled out a wallet, and gave me several hundred dollars. It was at least 400. I think it was 5 or 6. Now, the amazing thing about this particular story is that my friend had been building his house all by himself for over a year. And the chunk of money that he started this house project with had disappeared. So he was using his Social Security money each month to complete the next thing on his to-do list. And this was one of the very last things he needed was a new refrigerator. This was his refrigerator money he had given me. But he was rewarded. Sometimes we're rewarded for our kindness, and he was. He told me later about this being his refrigerator money, and that he went onto the website to check out the price of this refrigerator, and it had gone on sale, and he was able to buy it for $800 less than he was expecting. So I had many angels along the way, and I know you all will have many stories to share. There is one more thing I want to share about angels being with us when we're doing sacred ceremony, when we're doing healing ritual. I believe the angels flock to be with us when we're doing sacred work, because that's why they're here. They're here to help the planet, and they're here to help us, and they're here to help with the evolution of humankind at this time on the planet. So when we gather together on Sunday morning, or when we do the Reiki share, or when we do the heart meditations, or when we do the water blessing ceremonies, I believe the angels and the ascended masters and the guides, our guides and our allies, all hover around us and support us in the work and magnify the work that we do in the world. I have another dream to illustrate this. In this dream, there was a group of us, maybe 12 or 13 people, who would meet on a regular basis to do healing work. And we met in this room where we would crawl through the entrance to get into the room. I'm guessing that's symbolic of our humbling ourselves. Well, I began to notice that as we crawled in, there were these spirit beings crawling in there with us. So there'd be a human being on their hands and knees, and then there'd be a spirit being on their hands and knees. And there'd be all these beings crawling in there to this room to do this sacred work with us. And when we were in that room, I looked around at everybody and I said, "Do you see them?" And they're like, "Yeah." And so we started bringing offerings for them and putting them on the altar. And it was very beautiful because I would look around the room and I realized that instead of just the 12 people that were doing this work, there were now 25 or 30 people doing this work. They're here to magnify our work on the planet. They're here to help us. One time I had a reading in which I was told something that was so beautiful to me. I was told, "We need you as much as you need us. We need you as much as you need us." And that was so profound to me because I always put them up on this pedestal as being better than, greater than, more powerful than. But what I'm finally learning is that we're a team working together, us here in physical form and them in their spiritual form, right? We're all here working together. They need us. They need our hands, our feet, our hearts, our mouths, and we need their strength and power and love and wisdom. And together we make the changes that we seek in this world. So my three major things I would like you to take away today are: one, we are never alone, never. Two, angels are here to support us, and it's good to call on them. It's good to call on them. And three, let's all be angels. Let's be angels. We are angels. Let's be angels to one another. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being angels.